Hello, you are watching News 9 Live. Our top story at this hour, at least 41 workers are trapped inside the partially collapsed Silkyara tunnel in Uttarkashi district of Uttarakhand. The tunnel partially collapsed on 12th of November. A US-made auger machine had been deployed to drill and push in pipes to save the developed snag, thereby halting the rescue process. Here is the latest from the rescue ops. On your screens, 900mm diameter pipe being inserted through the auger machine. Rescue team pushes in a 6-inch wide tube up to 39 meters inside the tunnel. Government has taken 5 action plans to rescue trapped workers. Drilling remains suspended on Sunday. Experts warn about the possibility of further collapse near the tunnel. Over 5 different agencies on ground for the rescue of trapped workers. According to Nitin Gadkari, there is light and ample space inside the tunnel. Multivitamins, antidepressants, dry fruits being sent to the trapped men. After Union Minister Nitin Gadkari's on-site inspection at the Uttarkashi tunnel on Sunday, drilling remained suspended on the same day. The rescue teams continued to work simultaneously on different plans for the safe rescue of workers trapped in the collapsed tunnel. The rescue team was preparing to restart the auger machine to bore through the rubble and insert large diameter steel pipes to prepare an escape route for the trapped workers. The Road Transport and Highways Secretary Anurag Jain on Sunday said that the government has undertaken a 5-option action plan to rescue the workers trapped at Silkyara tunnel Uttarkashi since 12th of November. The rescue team pushed in a 6-inch wide tube up to 39 meter stretch into the rubble on Sunday. Successful placement of the tube shall ensure yet another route for sending food and water to trapped workers. Meanwhile, there is a high chance of further collapse in the vicinity of the tunnel, warned an expert who was involved in the rescue operation. Subsequently, the pipe pushing activity was stopped on Friday. In the ongoing rescue operation of tunnel workers, around 6 agencies are engaged on different roles at the accident site. ONGC, RVNL, Satluj Jal Vikas Nigam Limited, BRO and State PWD, besides NHIDCL are the agencies which are carrying out different responsibilities to establish early access.
इसकी वाइट करेंगे इसकी
Along with food and water, multivitamins, antidepressants are also being sent to workers trapped inside the under construction tunnel at Silkyara in Uttarkashi. Nitin Gadkari told reporters that there was light and ample space inside the tunnel and the victims are able to move around. The communication line is also on, according to the minister.
आपदा का मुकाबला हम सब लोग सब प्रकार के प्रयासों से कर रहे हैं। जो अंदर में जो लोग बैठे हुए हैं, जो अटके हुए हैं, उनके प्रति भारत सरकार को, उत्तराखंड की सरकार को और देश की जनता को उनकी सबकी बहुत चिंता है और हमारी सर्वोच्च प्राथमिकता है कि किसी भी प्रकार से उनकी जान बचाए, उनको बाहर निकाले। आज करीब 2 घंटे मैंने हम लोग सभी कंसर्निंग ऑफिसर जो यहाँ काम कर रहे हैं उनके साथ सभी प्रयासों के बारे में टेक्निकल चर्चा हुई। इसमें विशेष रूप से जो टेरिन है हिमालय का, इसमें एक प्रकार का स्टार्टा नहीं है। जियोलॉजी में अलग अलग रॉक के लिए अलग अलग प्रकार का हार्डनेस होता है। जैसे टाल, जिप्सम, कैल्साइट, एपेटाइट, अर्थोक्लेट्स, क्वार्ट्ज, कोरंडम, डायमंड। तो डायमंड सबसे हार्डेस्ट मटेरियल है। यहाँ क्या है कि बीच में सॉफ्ट है, एकदम हार्ड है, तो स्वाभाविक रूप से दिक्कतें बहुत आ रही है। और हमने अभी इसके लिए करीब 6 विकल्प लोगों ने दिए, 6 विकल्पों पर काम कर रहे हैं। भारत सरकार की अलग अलग एजेंसीज है जिनको जिम्मेदारी दी गई है। पीएमओ से भी विशेष रूप से यहाँ ध्यान दिया जा रहा है। उत्तराखंड के सरकार, उनके मुख्य सचिव और उनकी पूरा सहयोग है। और NHIDCL ये भी इसमें विशेष रूप से हमारे महमूद करके एडिशनल सेक्रेटरी जो मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर वो भी काम कर रहे हैं। यहाँ आसपास हिमालय में जहाँ प्राइवेट सेक्टर में चोजिला टनल का काम चल रहा है, बाकी टनल का काम चल रहा है, उन प्राइवेट सेक्टर में भी टनल के काम करने वाले एक्सपर्ट जो थे उनको भी यहाँ बुलाया, जो BRO के थे उनको भी बुलाया है। इसमें सबसे पहली बात यह है कि जो लोग अटके हुए हैं अंदर में, उनको हम मेडिसिन और विशेष रूप से जो फूड है वो उनके पास पहुंचा पाए और उनसे कम्युनिकेशन प्रस्तावित करें। पहले एक लाइन थी, अब स्पेयर में और दूसरी एक लाइन हमने करके रखी है। और इसलिए स्वाभाविक रूप से उनको आने वाले समय में फूड पहुंचाने में, मेडिसिन पहुंचाने में कोई दिक्कत नहीं आएगी। ऑक्सीजन की लाइन भी है। और हम इस प्रकार से पूरा पहली बात ये कर रहे हैं कि उनकी रक्षा कैसे करें, उनकी जो आवश्यकता है वो उनको कैसे मिले। पूरे ऑपरेशन में सबसे बड़ी प्राथमिकता है कि उनकी जान बचाए।
Even as 41 workers remain trapped inside a collapsed tunnel in Uttarakhand for over a week, the centre said it has finalized a 5-option action plan to rescue them. Let's take a look at the 5 alternatives. Satluj Jal Vidyut Nigam or SJVNL is doing the vertical drilling from the top of the tunnel to rescue the trapped labourers. RVNL has commenced work on another vertical pipeline for the supply of essential items after the completion of an approach road by the BRO in just one day. ONGC, having an expertise in deep drilling, has also started the initial work for vertical drilling from Barkot end. National Highways and Infrastructure Development Corporation Limited or NHIDCL shall continue to drill from Silkyara's end after working safety arrangements. Tehri Hydro Development Corporation Limited THDSL shall work on micro-tunnelling from Barkot, for which heavy machinery has already been mobilized. Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke with Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami over the phone to assess the ongoing rescue operations. The Prime Minister has assured that necessary rescue equipment and resources shall be provided by the centre through mutual coordination between central and state agencies. He expressed hope for the safe evacuation of trapped workers and emphasized on the importance of maintaining their morale, as stated by the Uttarakhand Chief Minister's office. Pushkar Singh Dhami provided a detailed briefing note on the ongoing rescue efforts, ensuring that all the trapped workers have a constant supply of oxygen, nutritious food as well as water. We're staying on the tunnel emergency. International tunnelling expert Arnold Dix reached Silkyara tunnel site and expressed confidence in the ongoing rescue efforts.
International Tunnelling and Underground Space Association, and all of our members all around the world are supporting here. I'm supporting here. We're going to get those men out. What I've seen, seriously, what I've seen, there are great works being done. This is going to happen, and look, we're on it, and that's what we're here. And there's a whole team of us here, and we're going to find a solution, and we're going to get them out.
And what's your observation, sir? You visited just inside of tunnel.
Yeah, even since yesterday, a lot of work has been done. And it's really important that not only are the men rescued, but also the men that are rescuing are safe.
And you are going to top height of tunnel, sir?
Yeah, going there now to have a look. Yeah.
So how many members along with you?
So we have, oh gosh, I can't even estimate. We've got people, the whole world is assisting.
You are discussing with the government of India?
Yes, the whole world is helping, and the team here are fantastic, absolutely fantastic. The real experts on this geology here are here. They're here in the Himalayas.
Rescue operation will be start from?
I can't comment on the rescue operation. All I can tell you is the plans are looking fantastic.
So what is the situation inside of tunnel?
The tunnel's good. Yeah, tunnel's good. The work's going on, and it's very systematic. The men are all doing a fantastic job. I've seen where the food and the medication and the air and everything is being put through. The men who are doing that are safe. Everything's okay.
And what's your opinion about vertical drilling from the top height of tunnel?
We're going to have a look. Let us go have a look. I can talk to you about that later.
A massive fire erupted at the Vishakhapatnam fishing harbour around midnight on the 19th of November, damaging around 25 to 30 boats. An Indian Navy vessel had to be brought in to bring the fire under control as multiple fire engines struggle to douse the flames. The cause of the fire is yet to be ascertained. No casualties or injuries were reported in the incident. Each of the boats cost nearly 15 lakhs, putting the estimated loss in the incident between 4 to 5 crores. Police Commissioner of the area, Ravi Shankar, has said a multidisciplinary probe shall be conducted to get to the bottom of the fire accident. Fishermen suspect some criminals set the boats on fire. There is also suspicion that the fire was triggered by a party in one of the boats.
All the boats which are parked in the fishing jetty number 1, jetty number 0, one of the ships actually caught fire where some boys were there late night. Probably they were all partying, and luckily the other boatsmen, they came and cut it off, de-anchored it, and then let it off into the sea. And that particular ship which had caught fire, it had full tank diesel and gas cylinders. So the fire had a multiplier effect, and then it drifted onto the other ships which were parked in the jetty and towards that corner.
Indian economy achieved a historical milestone on Sunday, surpassing the $4 trillion mark in nominal GDP, as reported by several media outlets. Union Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal shared a screenshot of a live GDP tracker based on IMF data, emphasizing the significant moment in India's global presence. Although there was no official government announcement, BJP leaders, ministers and industries praised the achievement, crediting Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership. This accomplishment is a substantial step forward into India's ambitious goal of becoming a $5 trillion economy by the year 2025. The report generated positive reactions, with many highlighting India's status as one of the world's fastest growing major economy. Adani Group chairperson Gautam Adani predicted India would become the third largest economy within the next 2 years, overtaking countries like Japan and Germany. Economists and analysts welcomed the news, noting that India's monumental GDP milestone of over $4 trillion solidifies its position as a beacon of economic prowess as well as global influence. Those are some of the tweets which actually ratify the major milestone in Indian economy, and absolutely congratulatory as to Devendra Fadnis there, also writing about what it means for India, and of course a milestone that has been created in the leadership of none other than Prime Minister Narendra Modi. News coming in from the south of India. The Supreme Court of India issued a notice to the concerned respondents on the Kerala government's plea urging to pass appropriate orders in connection with the inaction on the part of the governor for giving assent to 8 bills passed in the Kerala Assembly. Kerala Governor Arif Mohammad Khan has signed 3 bills, while 8 bills passed by the legislature for the periods ranging from 7 months to 2 years are still pending. A bench comprising Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud and Justices J.B. Pardiwala and Manoj Misra kept the matter pending on Friday. The Kerala government had moved the apex court, claiming that the governor was delaying his assent to the bills passed by the assembly, which is, in quotes, defeating the rights of the people.
The following content may contain visuals that are disturbing, graphic, or sensitive in nature. Viewer discretion is advised. This material is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all viewers. Please exercise caution while watching, and if you find such content distressing, we recommend discontinuing viewing. This disclaimer is provided to ensure awareness and to prioritize viewer well-being.
The latest on the war between Israel and Hamas, which has now entered its 45th day. There is no end to the fighting. However, unfortunately, Israel is now looking to expand its operations into southern Gaza, while a deal to release the hostages still seems like a dream far away. Let's take a look at the top developments from the war front. Israel releases CCTV footage, claims hostages have been taken to Al-Shifa hospital on 7th of October. IDF claims it found a 55-meter long tunnel under Al-Shifa hospital. Israel and Hamas close to hostage release deal, say reports. Premature babies evacuated from Al-Shifa have been transferred to southern Gaza. Yemen's Houthis rebels hijack a cargo ship. President of the US, Joe Biden, rejects mounting calls for a ceasefire in Gaza. Over 12,000 Palestinians have been killed in the war, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. On Sunday, Israel published a video claiming that it has uncovered a tunnel shaft under the Al-Shifa hospital in northern Gaza. In a statement, the Israeli army said it found a 55-meter long, that is 180 feet, 10-meter deep, that is 32 feet tunnel under Gaza's largest medical facility. The army published a video on its official Telegram channel showing a soldier making his way into the tunnel. The footage was shot with 2 separate cameras on the 17th of November, it said. The video shows a staircase leading to an arched concrete passage that ends in what appears to be a door. The army has said that it is the entrance of the tunnel shaft with a blast-proof door and a firing hole. And in quotes, this type of door is used by the Hamas terrorist organization to block Israeli forces from entering the command centers and underground assets belonging to Hamas, close quotes, said a military statement. The statement, however, did not mention what was beyond that door. The tunnel was found in the area of the hospital underneath a shed alongside a vehicle containing several numerous weapons, including RPGs, explosive and Kalashnikov rifles, according to the statement which has been released. On Sunday, the Israeli army released a video showing CCTV footage of what they claim were Hamas terrorists bringing in hostages from Israel into the Al-Shifa hospital on 7th of October, the day when Hamas carried out a deadly attack on southern Israel. A video aired by Chief Spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari showed a group of men frog marching an individual into the hospital, while a second clip showed an injured man on a gurney. Hamas is yet to comment on the claims made by Israel. However, 240 hostages were taken during Hamas's deadly assault in southern Israel on the 7th of October.
We've also gathered more intelligence from the hospital, proving that Noah Marziano was not the only hostage taken by Hamas into Shifa Hospital. I will now share concrete evidence of hostages. One from Nepal, one from Thailand, taken from Israel during the Hamas massacre on October 7th. The world must remember, Hamas is holding the elderly, men, women, children, babies, hostage. The Israel Defense Forces has a moral obligation to bring every one of our hostages home. We will not rest until we do. Hamas was hiding and murdering our hostages in Shifa Hospital. Hamas was building terror tunnels underneath Shifa Hospital. By now, the truth is clear. Hamas wages war from hospitals, wages terror from hospitals.
Ongoing clashes persist in northern Gaza as Israeli forces and Hamas militants engaged in a fierce battle. Israel's relentless aerial bombardment, initiated in response to Hamas attack on 7th of October, has led to the occupation of significant territories in the north and west of Gaza City. Despite these advances, pockets of intense resistance from Hamas continue to pose several challenges, particularly in heavily urbanized areas such as Gaza City, Jabalia and beach refugee camps. Take a look.
Fighting raged on Sunday between Hamas militants and Israeli forces in parts of North Gaza. Israel has bombarded the area with a devastating aerial blitz since Hamas's October 7 attack. Its forces say they have taken control of large areas of the north and west around Gaza City. But guerrilla-style Hamas resistance remains fierce in pockets of a heavily urbanized area. That includes parts of Gaza City and the sprawling Jabalia and beach refugee camps. Witnesses reported heavy fighting overnight between Hamas gunmen and Israeli ground forces trying to advance in Jabalia. It is the largest of the enclave's camps with nearly 100,000 people, most of whom rejected Israeli appeals to evacuate to the south. There on Saturday, civil defense forces and civilians were digging through the rubble, searching for survivors of an Israeli strike. Due to a lack of equipment, they are forced to use their hands, said one ambulance worker.
As you can see, a military bombardment hit this place, making this huge crater. Now we're standing above the rubble, where 15 people are trapped. 3 bodies were pulled out, and we are currently searching for more.
Gaza's health ministry says Israel's constant bombardment has killed 12,300 people, including 5,000 children. That's after the Hamas cross-border rampage, in which around 1,200 Israelis were killed and 240 taken hostage. On Saturday, the Washington Post reported that a tentative deal had been agreed for the release of dozens of women and children hostages in exchange for a 5-day pause in fighting. This was, however, later denied by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and US officials. Nevertheless, on Sunday, Qatar's Prime Minister said the main sticking points blocking such a deal were very minor and mainly practical and logistical issues.
Yemen's Houthis claim to have seized an Israeli ship in the southern Red Sea and taken it to a Yemeni port. The announcement came from the group's military spokesperson Yahya Saria in a televised statement on Sunday. Yemen's Houthi rebels claim seizure of a cargo ship in the Red Area. Claims that the vessel was then taken to a port in Yemen. Israel denies any ties to the seized vessel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that this was another act of Iranian terrorism. Houthis had threatened to hijack Israeli ship within their reach. The vessel was on its way from Turkey to India when it was seized, according to IDF.
船員に日本人は含まれていないと報告を受けています。政府としてこのような行為を断固非難します。現在、国交省、外務省等の関係省庁が情報収集を進めつつ、関係国と連携しながら、当該船舶及び船員の早期解放のため取り組んでいるところであります。
Displaced Gazans in Khan Yunis are questioning what is to come next as Israel prepares to expand its offensive against Hamas to the densely populated south. The tent city near Nasser Hospital now shelters thousands who've been displaced. Gaza's health ministry raised its death toll from the unrelenting Israeli bombardment to 12,300, including 5,000 children. Israel's aggressive actions have left significant portion of the north in ruins. And about two-thirds of Gaza's 2.3 million inhabitants have been forced to seek refuge in the south. The situation remains dire and the displaced residents anxiously await what the future holds amid the ongoing conflict. In Khan Yunis, Palestinian children are struggling to find moments of relief from the horrors of the war in a playground. The sounds of laughter and delight filled the air as the youngsters were caught on camera, swinging on swings as well as slides. However, the grim reality of the ongoing conflict is never far away. The toll so far on children is staggering, with nearly 5,000 young lives which has been lost out of the 12,300 Palestinians who've been killed since the 7th of October, according to Gaza's health ministry. Palestinians in the besieged strip are facing dire conditions, reporting shortages of basic supplies like diapers, baby formula and food. Hundreds of thousands, including displaced children moving from northern Gaza to the south, are seeking shelter in UN schools but have limited access to basic needs. Prime Minister of Qatar, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani, expressed optimism about a potential hostage deal between Israel and Hamas. He mentioned that the remaining challenges were very minor and primarily practical and logistical. The Washington Post reported a tentative agreement involving Israel, the US and Hamas to release women and children hostages in Gaza in exchange for a 5-day halt in fighting. However, Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, and US officials denied an agreement.
One horror doesn't justify another horror. And the pain that you inflict to the children of others will not justify, never, will not compensate for the pain that your children have been suffering. But the contrary, it will create a violence spiral that will come once and again unless we got a peace, a sustainable peace. And that's why the European Union has called for immediate humanitarian pauses. And the United Nations Security Council, under the request of one member of the European Union, Malta, and with the support of France and Germany, members of the European Union, adopted a very important resolution asking for immediate, urgent and sustainable humanitarian pauses.
When you come closer to the goal, you feel your confidence levels are increasing, and we hope that we are reaching to that point. The sticking points, honestly, at this stage are more practical, logistical, not really something represent the core of the deal. The deal is going through ups and downs from time to time throughout the last few weeks, but I think that I'm now more confident that we are close enough to reach to a deal that can bring the people safely back to their homes, whether they are the hostages on Hamas side or whatever the exchange that will take place from the Israeli side.
On Sunday, the Israeli army released the names of 3 more soldiers killed in battles in the northern Gaza Strip since the evening of Saturday, bringing the total now to 65. The Israeli army announced on Sunday that 380 soldiers and officers had been killed since 7th October, the majority of whom were killed in the surprise attack on Israeli military bases and towns in the Gaza Strip on 7th of October. The official Israeli Broadcasting Authority reported on Sunday that 60 soldiers were killed in the ground operation in northern Gaza since the war began on 27th of October. A Saudi aid plane departed from Riyadh carrying aid and relief supplies for Gaza on 19th of November. The aircraft has been scheduled to travel to Egypt's Arish airport in North Sinai. Meanwhile, ministers from Arab and Islamic countries have announced a visit to China on Monday as part of a tour aimed at ending the war in Gaza. In other international stories, in downtown Buenos Aires, hundreds of supporters of Javier Milei filled the streets echoing his anti-established mantra, "Out with all of them," amidst blaring rock music and celebratory honking. Argentina took a bold leap, electing the right-wing libertarian Milei as its new president on Sunday. Voters, fueled by frustration with the political status quo, handed Milei a decisive victory, with him securing 56% of the vote, surpassing his rivals just over 44%. Global leaders congratulated Javier for his election victory. Reactions started pouring on X, formerly known as Twitter, from current and former Latin American presidents.
Hoy empezamos a dar vuelta a la página de nuestra historia y volvemos a retomar el camino que nunca deberíamos haber perdido. Hoy se termina el modelo empobrecedor del Estado omnipresente, que solo beneficia a algunos mientras la mayoría de los argentinos sufren. Hoy se termina la idea de que el Estado es un botín a repartirse entre los políticos y sus amigos. Hoy se termina esa visión de que los victimarios son las víctimas y las víctimas los victimarios. Hoy retomamos el camino que hizo grande este país. Hoy volvemos a abrazar las ideas de la libertad, las ideas de Alberdi. El modelo de la decadencia ha llegado a su fin. No hay vuelta atrás.
Let's take a look at how South Americans have voted of late. Argentina has elected far-right leader Javier Milei as its president. Previous elections have thrown pro-left governments in the continent. For instance, in Brazil, Lula da Silva took to the office in January of 23. Similarly, in Colombia, Chile have also elected left-leaning governments. Moving on, the world faces twin crises of climate breakdown and runaway inequality. The richest people, corporations and countries are destroying the world with their huge carbon emissions. Exclusive research published in The Guardian reveals a startling reality. 12 of the world's wealthiest billionaires collectively generate more greenhouse gas emissions through their lavish lifestyle choices than what 2 million homes produce annually. This so-called elite group, featuring Jeff Bezos, Roman Abramovich, Bill Gates, Elon Musk and others, contribute nearly 17 million tons of CO2 and equivalent greenhouse gases each year. Their luxury purchases, super yachts, private jets, extravagant properties, combined with financial investments, amount to emissions equivalent to powering 2.1 million homes or the output of 4.6 coal-fired plants. The study estimated the lifestyle emissions of billionaires by analyzing their extravagant purchases, like Jeff Bezos' recent $500 million super yacht crafted by Oceanco. This mammoth 127-meter-long vessel, crowned as the world's largest sailing ship after 3 years of construction, produces a minimum of 7,154 tons of carbon emissions annually. A disturbing trend emerges as the richest 1% of the world, including 77 million individuals like billionaires, millionaires and those earning over $140,000 a year, accounted for 16% of all CO2 emissions in the year 2019. This parity not only exacerbates climate inequality but also poses dire consequences for vulnerable communities. Using a mortality cost formula which links carbon emissions to excess deaths, the report projects that emissions from the top 1% alone could lead to approximately 1.3 million heat-related deaths in the coming years. To put this into perspective, the emissions generated by this elite group from 1990 to 2019 were equivalent to erasing the entire harvest of EU corn, US wheat, Bangladeshi rice and Chinese soybeans from last year. The repercussions of this environmental impact disproportionately affects impoverished communities, marginalized ethnic groups, migrants, women and girls. These vulnerable populations, often living or working in conditions exposed to extreme weather, bear the brunt of the suffering. It shall take an individual from the bottom 99% approximately 1,500 years to match the carbon footprint of the wealthiest billionaires in just a year. Oxfam advocates for significant measures, urging hefty health taxes on the super rich and windfall taxes on fossil fuel companies. These actions aim to provide support to the most affected, diminish inequality and finance a shift towards renewable energy. If no action is taken, the richest shall continue to burn through the carbon we have left to use, while keeping the global temperature below the safe limit of 1.5 degrees Celsius, destroying any chance of ending poverty and ensuring equality. Proposing a 60% tax on the incomes of the top 1%, Oxfam forecasts an annual revenue of $6.4 billion, which is trillion. Such a tax initiative could potentially reduce emissions by 695 million tons, surpassing the entire carbon footprint of the UK in the year 2019. In updates about the Rohingya refugee crisis, which is now rippling down to Southeast Asia as well. Indonesia's Aceh province received the fourth wave of Rohingya refugees, numbering 500 on the 19th of November as per the UNHCR. Around 1,000 Muslim Rohingya refugees who are originally from Myanmar have landed in Indonesia and have reportedly overwhelmed all the local facilities. The UNHCR is waiting for the Indonesian government to make arrangements like providing bigger temporary shelters to accommodate the fresh arrivals.
We ensure the refugees are getting their basic needs, since they have been at sea for many days, more than 2 weeks probably, and ensure the medical needs, because they've been at sea and some may have been sick. Also, we ensure the security around this area.
Moving on, Japanese Marines in amphibious assault vehicles stormed an island beach at the edge of the East China Sea on Sunday. It was a stimulated attack to dislodge invaders from territory that Tokyo worries is vulnerable to attack from China. The goal was to show that if there is an emergency situation resulting from an attack against our country, Japan can maintain and improve joint operations under that scenario. General Yoshida, Chief of Staff of the Self-Defense Forces Joint Staff, was present to observe the drill. The scope and pace of military exercises in Japan are likely to increase over the next few years, including the US forces, after Prime Minister Kishida in December unveiled the country's biggest military build-up since World War II, with a pledge to double defense spending over the years. Liberian President George Weah concedes to opposition leader Joseph Boakai after close presidential runoff. Boakai leads with nearly 51% of votes. Weah calls for unity, acknowledging a divided nation.
Liberia's President George Weah conceded election defeat on Friday following a tight race for the presidency. And that means former Vice President Joseph Boakai is set to take the reins. In a second round of voting, Boakai was leading with 50.9% on Friday, with nearly all the ballots counted.
Votes obtained 814,212.
That's a stark contrast to the last election in 2017, when global soccer legend Weah, buoyed by a wave of hope, trounced Boakai in the second round with 62%. But many have grown disillusioned with Weah since then, due to a lack of progress on his promises to stamp out corruption and raise living standards. Boakai's supporters danced in the streets on Friday night.
I'm so glad today to tell Liberian people thank you very much.
Boakai does, however, now inherit major national challenges. Poverty levels are high in a country still recovering from 2 civil wars and the Ebola epidemic that killed thousands. Shortly after results were announced, Boakai said, "We have a job to do," but added that first and foremost, we want to have a message of peace and reconciliation. That message, in a once volatile country, was bolstered by Weah's concession. Speaking on the radio, he said that he had congratulated Boakai on his victory and that, "I urge you to follow my example and accept the results." Those comments stand out in Western Central Africa, a region that has seen 8 coups in 3 years and where elections are frequently contested in court amid accusations of fraud. Instead, the way has now been paved for Liberia's second democratic transfer of power in 7 decades. The first being when Weah swept to office 6 years ago.
That's all we have in this bulletin. For all the news and analysis on news, this is your destination. Keep watching News 9 Live.